Alrighty, y'all, we have got some parts in today. Not everything has arrived. Thank you, UPS, for getting this on time, but USPS is falling behind today, but that's all right. But these are the parts I already started unpacking. But yeah, these are the parts to my Britney Design first generation Crosstrek or GP Impreza Snorkel. So I am amped to gonna unlock these or unpack these and show them to you guys right now. Alrighty, we've got everything just about unwrapped. I left the hose wrapped up a bit because this thing is wanting to expand quite a bit and I don't need that right now. We've got the snorkel intake, which is awesome. We've got it part number 001, serial number 001. We've got my handle on there as well, which is super cool. It's got this nifty pre-filter, so you can kind of put that on and it'll filter the air a little bit before it gets into this part, which attaches to the OEM filter box. You can use an OEM filter from like O'Reilly's or the dealership or whatever, which is awesome. You got your hardware, and this guy right here supports the actual snorkel on the A-pillar, so that is sweet. In the box, we've also got the template for the cutout, so super pumped to get this on once USPS gets me the rest of the snorkel. Alrighty guys, we have officially, ooh, it's upside down. We have officially gotten our snorkel in. So we've got our snorkel part itself here, and then all of the other accessory parts came the other day. So we're going to start tearing into this fender that technically, up there, I have a brand new painted one. So we'll probably, if not now, eventually throw it on that one. But I think for the sake of getting it on quicker, we'll try it on here first. And you can see we've got some pretty awesome packaging. It was nicely wedged in there and super well wrapped up. So we're gonna get this guy taken apart. Oh, pardon me. Taken apart so it can end up right there. This is gonna be pretty sweet. Hopefully we can get that light to situate. I've got an idea if it doesn't quite line up, but this should be pretty sweet. Oh yeah. All right, here we go. This is that snorkel I've been waiting forever for. I'm super pumped to throw it on. It'll roughly go on like that. But before we get it on there, I've got to prep and remove these logos that'll be covered up. So we're gonna do that really quick and then see about the next steps for it. So I've gotten the first one off. What I'm just doing is heating it up with a torch just a little bit. Kind of back and forth. The heat gun would probably be a little safer, but a little bit of that. And then let's see if I can show you using these plastic razor blades. Oh, I dropped it, but it makes it really easy to peel off. So yeah, just a little bit of heat and then they come right off. Alrighty, and here we go. We've got the whole snorkel roughly assembled, so I can kind of feel it out. But it looks like it's gonna cover up Sandy Subi, so I'm gonna temporarily remove that until further notice. Maybe it'll end up on the roof fairing, or the rack fairing, but yeah, let's get this taken care of. Alrighty, we've got that cleaned up, and time to tackle the fender. Alrighty, now that we are inside, you can ignore my dirty, terrible engine bay, but we're gonna go ahead and remove this guy, which I've only ever had kind of sitting in there. So put that to the side. This guy next needs to come off so we can install our replacement. This is that brand new filter box, so it'll basically go in right there, and we'll use the hose clamp there. This allows us to retain and keep using the OEM filter, but have it be a little bit better sealed off. So that should be pretty sweet. And then we'll deal with taking out the headlight and the fender. Alrighty, this will be the new piece that slides in there, and it's going to be replacing that piece. So you can kind of see it's a little skinnier. You'll have a little more space down there, and then hopefully with the filters and everything, we end up with cleaner filters in the long run. You can see just how much is still getting through when I'm splashing around. This isn't even that old, so hopefully that really helps me save the life of this engine in the long run. Alrighty, so I've got this new intake kind of dry fitted in. So I've got it screwed in to the two spots. I'm glad I did this because there's one disparity. This is essentially a very early production model. So there's one disparity This little tab right there, you got that. We got the two bigger ones, and then this little guy. That little guy was missing from the print. So I've got two spots for the other ones, but nothing for there. So I'm just gonna trim this off, and that'll be an updated bit in the production part from Britney Designs. So don't worry about that on yours, but I gotta make a quick adjustment to this. And then it's a good thing I also did this because I have, it's kind of hard to see. Let's see if it can go under here. I've got an airline kind of in the way. So I might end up taking that out. We'll see. For now, I'm gonna try and make it work. But on to the next steps. Also ignore this ugly fence. I gotta build a new one later. So letting things dry out because, you know, P&W. Here we go. Trim off that little piece. So we got the good old angle grinder. We'll get that taken care of. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. If not, I'm sorry. Not too bad. Just right off. So that will make our lives easier for the next steps. Sweet. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and test fit this. Should fit just how we want. Oh, that's much better. So we've got that kind of locked in, and then I'll just do it. With an angle grinder, it'll all just tie in together. Let me see, 1 second. All right, and there we go. We've got it locked in. Obviously that's not tied down, but it fits. That's kind of what you're gonna be sitting with. Locks in nice and tight when you got the filter in there. It's all just going straight into the OEM. So we can use OEM filters from any O'Reilly's or any OEM style filter from O'Reilly's or whoever else, whatever auto parts store you want. We don't have to cut anything here, so that's pretty sweet. Now we just gotta cut the fender. So next step, but wanted to confirm all of this before I went too far. Alrighty, next what we're gonna be doing is we're marking out our points so we can align our paper. We're gonna put a piece right here just so we have a good reference point right on that body line. You can kind of see it's right where the line starts to curve into the headlight. So put it right there. We'll go from there over about 14 inches, mark that on the tape, and then we'll bring this, here we go, bring this over, kind of line it all up and tape it down. So I'll tape it down now so you guys can see exactly where we're cutting and go from there. Alrighty, and there we go. We've got it nicely taped down. We've got it about 14 inches to the edge of the paper from the front. And then there's always going to be this little bit you kind of crease in the middle to tighten it up since it's such an odd shape. The flat paper doesn't really want to be flat on it, but this will give us the gist of all of our holes and everything. So now we'll start drilling holes, or mark it all out, drill some holes, and do our first drive fit and see how she does. Alrighty, it's all marked out. I used the thin Sharpie, so I'd probably maybe use a little bit thicker, but now we'll take this template off, go ahead and cut out everything, and pray to the Lord I didn't mess it up. But I've got the spare, so not the end of the world. Alrighty, the template's drawn on there. I'll go ahead and connect that, I suppose, but now we just get to cutting. I'll be using an angle grinder and a drill. I'll probably drill the holes first, and then I'll angle grind it out. And then the best recommended way, at least so far, is to remove the fender completely. I'm gonna see if I can do it just as is. You know, I've got no fender liner really, so hopefully my big hands can make it through, but we're gonna see just for the sake of science. Alrighty, we've got all the holes drilled out. I pre-drilled it and then used a step bit to get to 3/8 of an inch, and now we'll work on the cut on the main hole. But here's hoping I did it right. So again, I'm glad I'm doing this as like a tester on my old fender, but you can see it's definitely creating some heat wear on the paint. All that's gonna be under and covered, so no big deal for me. And of course, I've got the other one, which will eventually go on here. But for now, just be aware, take it slow, do bit at a time. I'm kind of, here, let's see if I can show you my technique. You're kind of coming in and rounding it like that, kind of curving with the round to get the shape you need, which creates a lot of heat, takes a good bit of time, but it'll be worth it in the end. Alrighty, we've got it out. It's a rough shape. There's my scrap piece. I'm now going to take a file and just clean all of that up because it's pretty sharp and not so fun. But here in a second, we get to test fit and see how it looks on the vehicle. Well, we've got the Snorkel resting in the hole. Not quite lined up. It's something around there, but it's not too bad. This light's going to be probably a problem. I have a couple ideas, but I might be going back to hood-mounted ditch lights, if at all. But for now, it does look like I'm going to have to take this off because it is really tight in there and I have big hands. So we're going to get this fender kind of separated and cleaned up and throw this guy on. Alrighty, we've disconnected everything. There's a screw here. This one I can leave attached, thankfully, but that goes into there. There's one here connected to that part. Here, here, here. And then two more down there and there that we've removed. Now everything's off. We can access everything a lot easier. But I think I'm gonna go do something to kind of trim this up and act as like a little bit of a seal. So I'm gonna go to the store and grab some stuff. Also, I may or may not have misplaced one of these, so I gotta look for that. And if not, get a new one. So, well, I've got a lot more to do to finish it up, but she's installed, or at least rough fit. I am definitely vibing with that. Though I will say I might change that red out for some black or something along the lines, but that's pretty cool. All right, I've got some edge trim here. I'm gonna try and loop it around the inside of that hole just to kind of protect myself and whatever else from getting cut up, because I can file it down forever, but this will help a little bit more. And then I've got this right here, a little bit of foam, expandable foam weather shield stuff that I'm gonna kind of put underneath wherever that'll be contacting, just to protect the paint a little. Of course, this is an old fender, but just to see how it does and behaves with this help. Alrighty, I've got this guy on there. I basically just cut an approximate amount, kind of looped it around. Then I heated it up with the torch. There's a little bit of glue on the inside edge. And then I pressed it all along there, kind of worked its way on, and now we are protected, so I'm not gonna cut myself. At least that's the goal anyway. So got that done. Now I'm gonna get this and probably attach some of that foam I was talking about along this edge, just so that this is protected a little bit more, probably scuff it up less, and hopefully help any minor vibrations that might come through. But I'm gonna work on that and then I'll show you what's up. Alrighty, I've added in a bunch of foam kind of just in these areas. We'll see how this actually looks once I got it installed. Maybe it'll all come off, but these are all the edges that are kind of contacting or potentially going to contact the paint, or potentially have air gaps. So I figure we'll try this and hopefully we get a better seal on the fender, and everything's a little bit nicer. So we'll see how this goes. Alrighty, after a quick test fit, this is actually all I need. So I've kind of cut this a little bit rounded here. Have the bottom piece, this edge piece, top piece, and then a piece that comes here. And rather than going up, it actually needed to go across. And then this piece doesn't actually make contact. So that should be a lot better. We'll put it on now, get all of the hoses ran, and show you guys the final product. But not too bad. Alrighty, we've got it on. I've bolted it up. You can kind of see the foam a little bit in there. But got the 4 bolts on the backside. So that's this guy right there, that guy, and then those 2. The clamping was a little bit of annoying, but I ran the hose through the fender and was kind of doing it outside the fender. But it's all ran, so I'm gonna button it all up and see how it looks. Alrighty, we've got it bolted up here. You can see how that foam is looking. Not too bad. Got some more stuff to do up here in a minute. Got to reattach this ditch light and whatnot, but we're basically happy to go. So gonna throw in a new filter right there, green guy. This one's not too bad, but since I'm starting fresh and hopefully won't have to do much more of this maintenance kind of stuff, or at least a lot less, might as well start fresh. So gonna throw this back together, get it all buttoned up, and show you the final product, guys. We're pretty pumped. Ignore the mess. All right, and then we've got this little 3D printed brace. This will actually go underneath and support up on the A-pillar. So we'll throw this on. I'll kind of give you an idea of where it goes, And yeah, so this will support the front top from wobbling around too much. Alrighty, and it is installed. We've got the box all tidied up, nice and good. Fenders back together. This is super secure on there. There's a little bit of wiggle up at the very top, the very tip, because it's pretty leveraged, but there's that little spacer or support there. That might end up getting tweaked just because it needs a little more surface area to attach, I think, but that's an easy fix. Here's my clearance on my baseline rack. I can move it up and down a little bit to where I want it, but I totally could have left Sendy Subies. My bad. So I guess I'll be replacing that at some point soon, but you can still see baseline overland a little bit. But yeah, I ended up taking this pre-filter out for now, just because well, I don't like the red that much personally, but also it's not very dusty these days. But whenever it's a little dusty, it's, you know, 6 screws. I'll probably throw this guy back in there, keep it in the glove box kind of thing. But for my day-to-day, this should be fine. But also, that's kind of sick. One of the very first production Snorkel, quote unquote. So pretty hyped about it. Let's go see what she looks like on the road. And there it is, fully installed. Not too shabby. I'm pretty content with this. There'll be a few tweaks made to the final design, is from what I understand, but overall, this is killer. Not too shabby at all. And there it is, fully installed, looking great. You can kind of see that little bit of foam I added is sealing up the cracks nicely and protecting the paint. Again, this is kind of an experiment. Was able to fit the light back just as tight as it could possibly go. That is the only direction it'll face. I can tilt it a little, but that is fine by me. Still works, and that means I'll have to get new brackets and do all the shit again. So very content. There will be hopefully a black version of that in pre-filter, so that'll go on at some point hopefully. And he has already redesigned that with a slight improvement on the sticky. So loving it. It's feeling great. My temperatures have been so much better for my air intake. Driving, it's, you know, about 7 degrees cooler or hotter than the outside temperature, and when I'm idling, it's 10 to 30, which is way better than before. So used to get about 100 degrees hotter air intake than it is now. So feeling much better. Gotta love it.